You all are.
Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today I welcome you to the ET UFO Alien Enigma. And we're going to be exploring the modern mythologies that have sprung up because of the UFO phenomenon, and with a special focus on the entities that have been sighted and interacted with. I have a wonderful panel with me today, and I'll go clockwise, and this is the order we will keep throughout today's journey. We have the legendary Tim Swartz.
And, Hi, Hercules.
Off today. We have Tillie Treadwell. We have Marc Brinkerhoff. We have Lorraine Powell. And we have Setna of Khemet, a.k.a. Michael K. Waterman, a.k.a. Comwest. And he's...
Hi, everybody.
So we're going to start off with Tim, as we often do. What can you share with us about the possibility of aliens incarnating into the human life stream?
Well, Hercules, thank you for having me today, and really, I don't know if I can say too much on the subject, considering we have Marc with us tonight, who I think really has the best information on this subject, but I'll do my best.
Thank you.
And so, I suppose the first thing I should say, it really is a question, and that is, what exactly is an alien? At one time we were thinking that concerning...
I just connect with computer audio.
Oh, okay.
There they are now, Hercules.
Pam, are you participating or are you listening today?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you.
Well, I can see you. Well, oh.
Okay. Are you participating today or are you just listening?
I thought I was participating.
Okay, so I will come to you. You'll be after Michael. Sorry, Tim.
No, that's all right. But, we used to think that aliens were exclusively beings from other planets. But now I think we've kind of broadened our horizons and are looking at all kinds of different characters, not only other planets, but other realities, other dimensions, heck, maybe even time travelers. But if you go and look through, say, like occult history, there's really been a rich pantheon of aliens, and I'm going to put the quotation marks around that, communicating with us on a spiritual level with channeling, planchettes, Ouija boards, automatic writing. And so we should ask, do aliens incarnate? Well, why not? They're probably asking, why do we incarnate? Because they used to, everyone used to say that humans were really on the lower rung of the spiritual level, and that maybe even we're on a prison planet. So, if we do incarnate, why? But I have always considered, when people talk about, say, their past lives and reincarnations, and when we look at some of the communication that's been done between us and, say, those who have passed on, we always get this information that there is no time, that I suppose, like, putting it into scientific terms, we're living in a block universe where the past, present, and future all exist simultaneously. And this is a lot like what we have gotten over the years through these channeled communications. And if that's the case, then ourselves and other beings aren't so much incarnating or reincarnating, because all of these lives are existing simultaneously. All right. So if you have, say, like yourself, hypnotically regressed to visit a past life, you're not visiting a life that happened 100 years ago or 200 years ago. You're experiencing a life that's happening right now in another part of the universe. And the same thing goes with other realities. You know, I think that our consciousness, whatever it is that we use to define ourselves, that exists beyond our physical body, can experience a multitude of different lives all across time and space. So at the very same time that I'm talking to you right now, my other lives are also taking place all across the past, all across the future, and all across the multiverse. So and if that's the case, then we've got these you know, what we would call aliens that are also experiencing the same kind of phenomena. So since we all probably come from one root source of consciousness, then the definition of humans, aliens, what have you, really kind of blur. So we should ask ourselves, you know, not so much do aliens incarnate, but do we incarnate? Because there's probably no difference. The situations where you have an alien intelligence, again, alien quotation marks, incarnating, you know, into a human body shows that there are spiritual levels that far exceed those that we're probably experiencing here on the earth plane, and that these visitors, these other consciousness are being deliberately sent here as a way to show us that we also have that ability. So now, will the time come when we'll be the ones who will be visiting other planets, other realities, as a form of guardian angel, so to speak, ascended masters? We haven't quite reached, most of us haven't quite reached that point yet, but there may be a time when we'll be the ones who will be the aliens incarnating in at some other planetary level to help that race achieve whatever it is that they're supposed to achieve, like us. So, you know, we have visitors like Marc, who are, you know, who are here to help guide us along the way. And I think that at some point we'll have that distinction as well. So, and I'll leave it at that, Hercules, because I know there's a lot of other great people ahead of me here that are chomping at the bit to talk, but take that into consideration. Will we be the next ones? That will be
that is such an important question.
Yeah.
And thank you for opening up the multiverse to us. We have a bigger playground now.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger, I think, than we can consider, or even have the ability to consider.
And what I'm writing for the time travel book touches on some of the topics you touched on. So I'm very excited to see what you think when I submit it.
Oh, I can't wait to read that, Hercules.
Thank you so very much, Tim. Always a pleasure to listen to your thoughts, and always exciting. And now we go to Tillie Treadwell. Greetings, Tillie. How are you?
Hello, Hercules. I'm doing very well, and I appreciate you having me this fine evening along with all of our friends. I do have some thoughts, and I did actually prepare a few short words, if I may. So please pardon my eye tracking. I'll be reading on my little tablet here for us, if that's all right.
It's fine.
Do aliens incarnate? If by aliens it is meant people with organically occurring genetic, physical, mental, emotional, logical, social differences than what is considered the human norm, and that these people come here to our 3D Earth, to our 3D experiences and realm, from somewhere other than our 3D Earth, then yes, I fully believe that aliens of all kinds incarnate. I also believe that there are many different types and vibrations of incarnation too. And that means that I believe in incarnation on other densities, aka vibrations. In my understanding and theories, these vibrations can and do occasionally overlap, even for so long as many years at a time. And I believe that there may well be people here of other lighter densities living out lifetimes. The only clues may be that they look kind of funny, or maybe the camera or mirror captures something other than what the human eye sees, or that photos, etc., may be inconsistent in what they capture of the person over time. Or they may seem to be able to change their appearance at will in some ways instantaneously, whether that is subconsciously or consciously, or maybe they think, feel, respond differently than the human norm and or may have strict nutritional needs, strange allergies, speak oddly, conduct socialization differently, seem to be autistic, extra sensitive, may seem to be socially awkward or socially disadvantaged, or have exotic and or enhanced talents compared to human people. On the flip side, they may have severe physical disadvantages, such as being born allergic to sunlight, being unable to eat or process most foods here, strange joint configuration, or naturally possess smaller, weaker muscles. Maybe there are lots of other pieces that I'm missing. This is just the basics of what I suspect due to my own studies and understanding. Author and speaker Alexis Brooks speaks about different types of people who allegedly incarnate from soul or higher source intimately into human society, and I do have a link should anyone be interested. In her presentation, she offers the example of James, apparently an elemental soul who has incarnated into human form. She asserts that James' mother went to a psychic for help because her son, all his life, has had extreme social disharmony and physical illness. I do believe that these are two core clues. Her testimony about James fully supports my own research findings over the past 10 years. That other types of people incarnate here in nearly human form for a variety of reasons, and that they have often completely different organic life experiences from human people, as in they are born with different genetic morals, preferred or even required relationship dynamics, mental or logical processing, artistic abilities, physical and or magical abilities, functions and or weaknesses, and or they have often what is considered by human standards extreme medical nutritional needs in order to stay alive and thriving. Of course, this is all only alleged on my part. I do not claim to know that all of this is objectively, concretely true, or that I necessarily have proof by some standards, since that is largely subjective. I admit that perhaps I'm completely wrong, or perhaps rather unsane, as it were. I leave that up to you, my friends and dear listeners, to be the judge of. I appreciate having the opportunity to bend your ear for a moment, for I seek those who would like to ponder the thoughts of flowers.
Wow, if that's a sample of your writing, I can't wait to read your chapters.
It is indeed.
That was very well researched and very well presented. Thank you very much, Tillie.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And now we go to Marc and Phyllis Brinkerhoff.
Okay, we're here.
You're here. Is Phyllis?
Phyllis's hand will pop in. But
Okay,
There you go.
I think one of the things that Marc is hesitant to say is, number one, he did not incarnate here. He walked into
He walked
a body
in here.
fully conscious. So when Marc is speaking, he's literally speaking from information and energy that he's receiving directly from 14th and higher planes of consciousness, where his, I guess you might say, authentic or true self
we have all
lives,
different kinds of names.
and
Yeah.
where your authentic and true selves live. And all of our
Your total
authentic and
self.
true selves are all constantly putting aspects of ourselves to incarnate into different frequencies or different realms so that they can help
Mhm.
or they can learn. Usually they're put into these lower frequencies to help, and I'll leave it at that. So you
And
Marc,
so when we're talking like Tim, when you said all those things that you mentioned about the dimensional being here in different, well, I always talk the omniverse since I can remember. The omniverse is more than what people think it is. We just have a metaphor for it in our head or how we see it, but it's really also within levels. But that's going to go in our book. We're working on this day and night now with our book to try to comprehend it for people to understand it, because it's hard to explain. So everything is really happening at once,
Like Tim said.
everywhere in this omniversal space. But we have many aspects to ourselves. One of the metaphors we have in space that I was shown was, for us on Earth, the idea of a big salt shaker, and that's your overt self, omnis self, everything we call it, the total self. People want to call it an authentic self, I don't know, but that's your true self, that which was brought forth when Creator created all of us. That's the true self. That true self in the salt shaker now, where the total self's the salt shaker, and all the other salt in the shaker is aspects of your true total self you can project out. Like Creator's everywhere at once. We can be in many places at once too.
Many
and
galaxies,
galaxies,
many planets.
many dimensional places. I've met my other aspect from another galaxy. And like Tim, you mentioned past, like coming from the past. So I visited the Earth in our Earth past now, but in total space, in the high realms, you can be there right now. And like, I met with the Hopis as my other aspect itself, which kind of resembles this. So when I spoke with natives out west, or when I had a friend who was native here,
How many thousands of years ago was that?
3,000 Earth years now, and I had information, and the natives I spoke with at the time, my friend went there to a powwow out west, and she said, all the elders want you to come out and visit. And I said, why? They said, because no white person has the information you have, and that only the secrets held by the ancients had it. And how do you know it? So I was like, oh my God. That was about 24 when they were asking that. Now the thing is, this is stuff that we've had so much. Hercules, we understand these ancients that we speak of,
There you go, baby. You can spit
who
in
were
there.
the Olympians and more, the giants. Those beings are from other places in space that visited in ancient times. We're talking about 1 million years ago, some of them, and hundreds of thousand years ago, 50,000. And they helped build, these ancients build those pyramids. That's why the stones are so gigantic. I know Michael knows what I'm talking about because he was there. Hercules was there as his own total aspect itself, which is still here today on the higher planes. So when we speak of, I'm just an aspect here, what we call a higher self aspect, but I'm from a higher self aspect of the 12th plane, not the 7th or 5th or 4th. So many of the people I speak with, I meet with it's off dimensions.
Marc's
out
not
there.
associated with any planet.
I'm not, yeah, no.
Except
and I don't have karma here. I came in to help with a request. So when I took over a body, I just went into it when another soul left. There was nothing set up. It was a surprise. Because I'm here as a surprise. Phyllis knew this when she discovered that. So did Ingo. He knew that, Ingo Swan. So I'm here to thwart in different ways.
Don't let you
the
take
bad
garbage in the dog.
for
Yeah,
all of the people. So that as for are we aliens incarnated? Yes, everyone on planet Earth has been an alien, if you want to say, came back in some way to incarnate or find a lesson they wanted to go through, or and they choose all the things they go through. So you choose the body forms. You can also choose illnesses you want to have or setups that are going to come to you, like a test. All that's chosen before you pick that before you come in, and you also have angels working with you to pick the parents you want to have. So I was working with my angels. I've met my angels. My doorman's met my angel when she returned a briefcase that Phyllis had in the cab that got lost. And they're over 7 feet, depending on how big they want to materialize in. So when you meet and talk with angels, you find out we're souls. Only souls incarnate. Only souls go throughout these dimensional planes. The angels can traverse them any way they want, but they are not souls. They are aspected with the infinite creator's frequencies and light. They have another substance with them. So a person cannot be born here as an angel and say they're an angel born. I know there's people out there that believe that, but that's not what happens. And the kingdom is to be born.
I'm going to jump in. In antiquity, last time you were right. You said that one of the definitions of Christ is anointed, but there were actually three different definitions for the word Christ. If it's spelled with a yota, it means what you said, that somebody's anointed with oil or somehow consecrated or chosen. The other two definitions are someone is an oracle. That's with an epsilon yota. So chokama is like a communication from beyond, like a deep trance medium or channel would give, or an ancient oracle. And then there's ita. If that's the E sound in Christos, then what it means is somebody who benefited their community. So if you were a Mason or you were a Rotarian or you were an elk, let's say, and you did things for your community, you'd be a Christ. In cemeteries from around that time in the first and second centuries and a little bit before, you have Christs all over the graveyard because they were public benefactors. So in the ancient understanding, like in Greek and in Hebrew, an angel just meant a messenger.
Yes, yes.
If someone delivered you a message, they're an angel. If somebody from on high delivered you a message with shining wings and things like that, they'd still be an angel in their capacity to bring you something. Just like Lord, you mean the Lord of an endeavor, a household, a business, a community, or somebody from a higher dimension who's one of the creators. So the same word can mean many different things. And I think when people are saying that they're angels reborn, it's not in the sense of celestial beings who aren't nor ever were human, but in terms of having the messenger function or the angelic function, which kind of ties all the three definitions of Christ together, because you're doing something for your community on some level. You're
Yes.
helping them in their community, you're helping them for messages from the dead and from the elementals and from things like that, or you're basically in service to something consecrated and holy from on high.
And I'm here for that too. I'm a messenger, and I came in messaging in the ancient times too. So we do these things. I'm in this body. It's like Yoda. I'm in a body that nobody sees who I'm inside. So Ingo saw me. But the thing is people who are out of body with me see me. So yes, we're the shining ones, the ones that they would call in those ancient times. And the Native American types, I thought that we were their ancient ancestors. But that's for dimensions or planes of existence and other frequencies. We're in all of those different areas, and you have aspects in many different places, not on every single dimensional plane, but in certain planes you can visit on the high frequencies or high planes where we come from. We can come through to the lower levels as well with permission. So there's ways that works.
Easy. For instance, like even with Balthon, when he came
No,
and tried to
yeah.
visit, it was very difficult for, what was he, fourth plane?
Fourth and fifth plane. Yeah,
The
when I had the
alien
ET that met me in the park, he
was-
came from a fourth, fifth plane plane
He was trying
and
to
came in
do a mission down here to meet with Marc,
and
but
couldn't walk.
it was very difficult for him to take on a physical body and come through our frequency, which is so.
He just materialized, came over and walked through very slowly because it was like mud or cement. And when he left, he went around a corner and just disappeared like that. And there was nobody there anymore. And he was almost 7 feet tall, just about that. So the thing is this is the realms. This is how we work in the creator's realms of all the omniverse. So each omniverse or each of the universes are not always exactly the same. And the history is not the same.
Thank you very much, Marc. As always, incredibly awesome and insightful. And Marc, you live not that far from, you live in New York City. You've been to my home. We have meetings the first Wednesday of each month. You and Phyllis are invited if you'd like to come.
Thank you.
The first what?
First Wednesday.
Well, oh, really? Okay.
Out to the library?
No, the library closed. It's my home.
Oh. So you mean on a Zoom?
No, we have a Zoom meeting once a month. We also meet physically once a month. Everybody brings cool desserts and we have coffee. And
Where are you meeting? At your home?
Yes, in Tenafly. You've been there.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be
Oh,
fun.
okay. Thanks.
So
Okay.
to be
Yeah.
continued.
Thank
And
you.
now we go to Michael K. Waterman, aka Setna Kamwast of Khemet.
I have a question for all of you. You were all talking about all these dimensions and things, and I very much agree with that we're working on nonlinear time. But, please give me input. What about death? All these bodies that we have, they do wear out. Where do we go? I mean, what do we do with the body? We bury it, we burn it, what have you. But that being that we're in is finished. So we have to figure that one out too. And as far as that goes, someone asked me today at a ritual I was at, do I believe gods and goddesses die? Well, I think they reincarnate too. I believe that, I don't know if you've ever seen it's a kind of a tacky movie, The Legend of Zorro. Antonio Banderas and Anthony Hopkins are in the movie. The original Zorro is getting older. And so to perpetuate the legend of the hero, he takes on an apprentice who happens to be Antonio Banderas. So he becomes the Zorro character all over again. And I do believe that is what happens to our super beings, our gods and goddesses, that they have handed down the energy, the ability, the knowledge from, as Marc does, from body to body to body to body. And so that we have a consistency of that energy, that power force, but not from the same, perhaps not from the same physical form. And also many of those beings, like Marc would say, are multi-dimensional, or Tim, multi-dimensional. I believe that we can in my traditions, the transmutation of souls, the moving of souls from one place to another. Also, in my traditions, as Kemetic traditions, if the body is destroyed, many times an ancient Egyptian will have a statue, an image, which they can then fill because this energy is there. I don't know if you saw on Facebook, any of you, I showed during a ritual of Isis that the statue I have of the goddess Isis, before the photograph, before the ritual, it's a normal photograph. Afterwards, you see a milky, sparkling energy moving into the statue. The goddess became present at my altar. So I know that spiritual energy can move in any direction it feels like it, as well as the life force, the energy force. And I think that's an agreement with you, Marc, and Tim, and Tillie.
Michael, if I may, you had asked me in the chat what I thought about death, and I'm so happy that you posed this question to the group. I personally agree with you about perhaps people being able to come into statues and use them as a body. I also believe that non-physically incarnate people, as in physically here on the 3D, are able to inhabit items of all different kinds. And this is why, right. And so for myself, this is why I think that it is a sacred duty to treat everyone and every item with as much respect as possible in every given moment, because in part, you never know if someone is inhabiting that, or that person could be just posing as that item. And this is why there are all of the old fairy tales and the Japanese lore about human people who have kicked a chair and then the spirit of the chair has come out and they are angry. So that is my opinion on this. I am in agreement with you. As far as death, from my own theories, my own understanding, I am personally of the belief, like Tim had mentioned, especially, that we are all living lives in the so-called the past, the present, the future, everything essentially all at once. I believe personally that everything is tied together intimately. In the book that we're working on, I will be introducing some of my own personal vocabulary, and one of those for me is called the quantum quilt. This is how I essentially see all of existence, whether it's here on Earth, it's on other vibrations, dimensions, or even other planets, because I don't know if other planets are even real, but that's a completely different story for a different day. As far as death goes, though, the way that I understand it is that everything is happening all at once, all the time. And this means that life is kind of like a choose your own adventure storybook. At least this is how I see it. And when you choose certain things, you get certain endings. So in some timelines, you may choose the dead end and essentially you pass away. But do you actually pass away? I don't believe that we do until we have explored all of the life options simultaneously and achieved as full a life as possible in that incarnation. So that can be hitting certain milestones that the soul agreed to before it came here, or it can be simply one objective. But I believe that we are each incarnate until we have hit every single one of those, whatever, however many they may be. And then I believe that, like the chapter of the book or the book itself, that closes and that storyline is ended. Does that mean, though, that, say, for example, if I pass away now, does this mean that I'm actually completely dead and gone from here? I don't believe so at all. I personally believe that the likelihood is that I've not yet achieved everything. And so my spirit consciousness, my soul, you could say, jumps into another incarnate version of myself and continues on about my way. And I may not even have any kind of memory of this. This is why there are such stories of so-called time travel and the Mandela effect after a traumatic experience, say an illness, or in the last episode, say a near-death experience is like what I've had. And I think that this could potentially answer a lot of questions that human beings have about life and existence, etc. But of course, I don't claim to know everything. These are just my own beliefs and experiences after a fair bit, perhaps, of time and research and consideration. So I do submit that for everyone's consideration.
And we're going to be covering that in the later show, the after death states, before life states, the process of incarnation, and
Excellent.
everybody here has a lot to share on that topic. Are you?
Yeah,
I was going to say,
Ready.
I was going to say, I've
I've
been by the Edgar Cayce Center in Virginia Beach. I have been, I don't want to say the word diagnosed, but discovered that I've had at least 148 lives that they know of, many of which, and I get almost nauseated, in Egypt. I had many, many, many lives in that time, and beyond and before that in Atlantis. And I have lives that are not all human, not only alien, I know that's true too, but as far as lower forms, if you want to call them that, I don't. I had my last life before this one was a cat. I've also have memories of having a life that was a spider and also a cobra. So I know that I've moved into many different forms. And I think I'm very lucky that I'm able to tap into those things.
Yes, you are. You're very insightful on a lot of different levels, Michael, and it's always great interacting with you.
Thank you.
And now we move on to Lorraine. Lorraine, do you have any thoughts to share?
I don't know what to say. I'm new to this forum.
Me too.
It's you were supposed to be talking about UFOs, and we got a lot deeper than that. So
That's
it's a lot
okay.
for me to absorb. It's a lot for me to absorb right now.
Journey we're all taking, so that's okay if we go deeper. But if you get too far off range, it's my job to get everybody back to what we're talking.
Yeah, no. I appreciate everybody's thoughts, and I agree with a lot of what everybody said. You know what? Can you come back to me? I'd like to hear more from other people.
We can come back to you.
Thank you.
Pamela, welcome. Pamela Fernsler is a retired Rosicrucian. She's also been an initiate in very many other metaphysical occult traditions. And like me, she has a lot of popular culture, especially science fiction. And she and I are working on several projects together. So welcome to this forum, Pam.
Thank you. Can everybody see me?
Yes.
Oh, yes,
Awesome.
Pamela, definitely.
Absolutely.
This is the first time
I'm so
done
glad to
Zoom.
see you.
The UFOs and aliens, as were extraterrestrials as we were, I am from the middle star of the belt of Orion. It's called Al-Nalam. This life is for me to remember everything, and I have. And that's thanks in part to Hercules and others that went before him. Also, I write twin stories, which are not published, but in some way, shape, or form, they probably will be. I'm still working on them and remembering as I go. As I said, I am from the middle star of Orion's belt, and I've been here for a very long time in various cultures all over the world, from the Inca to the Egyptians to the Vikings. I remember I was a 20-year-old Viking. I was big and strong and blonde, and I got killed when I was 20. So what the hell? I'm an alien, yes, but I'm also very familiar with everything on this planet, its history, its evolution. A lot of the history of the human race and the earth comes from the Rosicrucian Fellowship, which is based on Theosophy, which evolved from Madame Blavatsky. I went through that route, and I have intimate knowledge of various mystery schools. So this is where I come from. Yes, aliens do incarnate. I am one of them. It depends on the body that is being built between lifetimes and the vibrations of my own spirit as it evolves in matching those vibrations. So I'm pleased to say that so far, so good. I have had some problematic lifetimes in the past. Of course, that's an illusion. I like Doctor Who as a Time Lord, and he was once teaching a class about time in one of the episodes, and he says, imagine, and this is something familiar to one of you, I forget which one it is, that you are in the center of something, perhaps a city, some sort of place. And all of this stuff around you is for you to choose, to explore, to understand, to know. And it says you can go any direction you want, but it's still, you're at a fixed point in space and time. Space and time always go together. Not one translates from the other. Now, from UFOs, I was looking that up prior to our Zoom talk tonight, and there's one source that was from a 2016, what do you call that? A paper from the New York Times in the Life section that actually put down there the four major types, and one is the Sirians, one is the Orions, one is the Pleiades, and one is the Arcturians. There's probably more, but they said there are four major camps affiliated with Earth. They probably help. And I've had UFO experiences most of my life since I was about 2 years old. And as I said in one previous panel, there's the chip right in my neck underneath my right ear, which was placed there when I was very young. So as I evolved, it kind of got trapped in there, and to take it out would cause some nerve damage. And I wouldn't be the same person I am at this point in time. And back in February 15, 1971, I had an experience which opened me up to thousands of bits of information that flooded into my brain. And they are there for anybody to access. They just have to ask the question. If they ask the question, I know that I will have the answer. And I may not say it in English. Sometimes I have to stop and kind of translate in my brain what is being said. I'm familiar with the angelic language, which is concept with sound, and ancient Atlantean, way before the fall of Atlantis, in their first of 7 stages. I used to work in a great library there, And so I love being a librarian, research, reading books, all that sort of stuff. Love it. So I'm going to end with that. And if anybody has any questions for me, I will take them now.
Well, we'll take them after Lorraine finishes her piece. I don't know who Alcatel 7 is. I suspect Peggy, if Peggy has anything to say, or Yolanda has anything to say.
Okay.
To speak to. So we bring it back to, thank you very much, Pamela, and we bring the ball back to Lorraine's court.
Okay. Again, I don't really know what to say. I mean, I think our mainstream media is becoming more and more open to the idea that UFOs exist. And you're seeing more and more about, like I said, the metaverse, what you were talking about before. I mean, that's all through like the Marvel Studios. I mean, we're definitely seeing a more openness to this concept. You're seeing more things with, like, you know, the FBI releasing UFO files. They just recently had some type of sighting in Louisiana, from what I understand. And do they incarnate? I believe that a UFO could be so tiny and so minuscule. We want to think of it always in our terms. But they could be here and we wouldn't be able to even see them because they could be so small. But we just really don't know. You know, somebody said that for UFOs to come here, and I'm talking about aliens, they would have to be 1 million years advanced than us. I don't really believe that's true. I'm open to all kinds of ideas. I do believe they're all walking amongst us, you know, and that's about all I got to say on the topic for right now. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Lorraine. Thank you so very much for your ideas. Does anybody have any questions to ask anybody else? And we'll start with Tim. Tim, do you have any questions you'd like to ask anybody?
Yeah, I'd like to go back to what Michael was talking about when the old gods die. I find that a fascinating concept because, you know, it does seem like that there has been throughout history an evolution on the belief of our deities. You know, I mean, you go back in prehistoric times when people had more of a I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce it right, like an animus belief that you know, there are gods and spirits contained within everything, to then more of a more sophisticated viewpoint that, like with the Greek gods of you know, Zeus and Athena and all the rest. Well, you know, what happens to these gods when there are no longer people who believe in them or worship them? So, I mean, you know, you brought up an interesting point that that maybe they, you know, reincarnate, you know, into something else, or if not that, pass on their attributes to, you know, a new pantheon of God. So, I mean, you know, Michael, do you want to elaborate on that just a little bit?
Yes, I do. From the Egyptians, there's a whole passage in one of the temples, I think it's Heliopolis, where Ra is getting old and he's dribbling, and Tehutephoth, the teacher of Egypt, was teaching Isis about magic. And she knew that Ra was the all-powerful Lord, master. Well, he's scribbling, and she takes a bit of the spittle that's on the ground, and she makes a snake. And she, with the magic she was taught, the knowledge to animate things, the snake bites Ra. Now, it's not a real snake. It's a piece of clay. But Ra's old and doesn't know any better. And he goes on and on for paragraph and paragraph about his powers. And she says, look, I'll save you. You have to give me your secret name. So I think it's like a password. You know, we have those now. We didn't have them when I was a kid. And I think he gave her the password, but in doing so, he passed his energy into her. And so when she gives birth to Horus, he looks exactly like Ra. So I believe when in my prayers and my rituals, I call him Ra Heru. So that this is a reincarnated Ra into the body and spirit and soul of Horus. So I think that was the Egyptians saying, we are a spiritual entity from somewhere, and I'm bringing that energy into a different being who is now me. Does that answer your question, Tim?
Oh yeah, very much so. Thank you very much.
And if I
And an
may,
interesting question too. It's an interesting concept. I definitely believe in what you're saying, Michael, that the gods that they are passing down their information. I mean,
Yeah.
Look at all the things we have learned over the thousands of years. That information is coming from somewhere, so I definitely agree with that whole concept. Thank you for sharing.
Lorraine, I have a spirit guide. His name is Soren Siti, and Marc will know, Soren Siti was never a human being. Soren Siti is an alien. He's from the Sirius system. His energy can change color and form. And he said to me, love is not possible between two planes, so that the physical love between two alien beings is not there, but the energy can be passed from one to the other because we're different physical bodies that may not meet up with the spirit bodies. Does that make sense?
I would like to interject if you all would be quite so kind as to have me. I personally have been researching the reincarnation and the cycles, the physical needs of many different types of people. And an interesting pattern, at least to me, that I've noticed is that there are certain fairy tales and legends of old, of gods and whatnot, who breed and pass down certain genetics to people, whether they be human hybrids or just other straight up non-human people. Neil Gaiman talks about this a lot in his American Gods series, if you're familiar.
Yes.
And I've noticed that there do seem to be certain real life tie-ins, because the old fairy tales are linked to, in some ways, Rh negative blood. And then, yes,
This I don't get.
you may have to do a little bit of research, because what I'm getting at is a little obscure, but I'll do my best to explain. Not
every alien human hybrid has the Rh negative blood. That's
correct.
It's like with the old star being quizzes that Brad Steiger put together once upon a time with the star persons.
Right.
Star people I knew, very few, if any of them, actually met all his criteria for a star being. So it was good that he did that, and he might have found a few people that way. But I found that with the Rh negative, because I interviewed the author of the book when the book came out. And again, I respect his having written the book. It was a very important book and a very important idea to explore, but I wasn't convinced even after speaking to him.
And that is perfectly all right. What I wanted to say or present is that I think that there are certain aspects in combination with Rh negative blood that seem to point to sometimes these lineages may have higher concentrations of people who are what I call energetic empaths, i.e. the old energetic vampires or gods of old. I believe that they do feed off of worship, in a sense, or admiration. They collect that energy in their auric field. Again, this is just my belief and just my experiences, and that powers their own life supply, because from my understanding, they cannot renew their own life force the way that human beings automatically physically renew it. And so they feed off of things like burnt offerings, so incense and the old biblical offerings of burnt meat and things of that nature, as well as attention and worship. And as Neil Gaiman had put into his books, these people will eventually suffer. They will become ill without that type of worship or that type of offering from human beings, because it is quite literally a nutritional need in order for them to stay incarnate here. I hope that all makes sense.
I want to say something quickly. My mother was Rh negative. She was, they call a blue baby back in she was born in 33, and her sister had died before and they couldn't revive her. Her sister was older. My mother was, they did some kind of weird blood transfusions, and my mother was very psychic. She would never, she said, I don't believe in all that stuff, but she'd know when the phone rang who it was. It could have been somebody that died 10 years ago. Oh, it's Uncle Arthur, but she knew. So I believe she passed that energy to me.
Interesting.
That's what I was going to say quickly.
In my experience, and I've been interacting with the Greek pantheon my entire life, they don't need our energy from worship. They don't need our attention. They're pretty much doing their own thing. If they were getting energy from worship or attention, then they would elevate writers of movies that feature them, and those would be the people they'd be working with, because they keep them incarnate in the public imagination, and that's where majority of attention these days comes from. Because even though there are neo-pagans who worship the Olympians, there aren't that many of them.
I agree with you, and I'm certainly not asserting that all of the gods, all of the people were that way. I'm only talking about specific lineages. That is all.
There was a great book called Are the Gods Vampires? It was written in the 70s, I believe, or early 80s, that explored
Figures.
that. What happened?
I didn't get that comment either.
I don't know. Yeah,
It was said.
I don't know. Somebody commented.
Oh, I just said figures. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
You know, in 70s, everybody was vampires, you know.
We're going to be
Oh, no.
devoting an episode, at least one episode to that. You know, what exactly are the gods, and are we the gods? I firmly believe that we're the gods dreaming, and that this is our dream. And there are archetypal patterns in our subconscious where if we're not aware that we're living out certain patterns, we're doomed to be stuck in them. And if we're aware of it, we can make other choices, get unstuck. And again, that's just my thoughts on it. But the answer is a little bit more complex with the gods, because for those of you who've experienced gods, it's a quite distinct and different type of experience. It's not like experiencing an angel or an alien or something, although the categories kind of intertwine a bit. It's a very distinct thing, and you know that you've touched something divine when you come across it. It's unlike any other type of psychic experience. It's not like a cryptid. It's not like a UFO experience. It's not like a standard religious experience. It's something very, very different. Inner and outer lose meaning, because these things exist both inside of us and outside of us at the same time. But again, that's going off point with Do Aliens Incarnate, so I apologize. Anyone else have a question to ask? And also, right now we have 5 more minutes. I could stay here for another 20 if you guys would like to. If not, we'll wrap up in 5 minutes after people give their contact information.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go because my father usually leaves at 10 o'clock and I gotta walk him out to his car. So
Okay.
my husband's in there with him right now, so he's not sitting alone, but he usually leaves around 10. So if I go all of a sudden get up and disappear, that's where I went.
Would you like to share your contact information, or would you like to pass on that today?
No, you don't. You all have my contact information? What do you mean, like my email?
The folks who come to my home have your contact information. A lot of folks here.
Oh, okay. Can I say it or?
Yeah, like whatever.
Okay. It's RAINEYPO1@hotmail.com. I don't have a Facebook page. I'm not in part of a Facebook because as an educator, we just never did them. We don't want the world knowing too much about us. Okay. So I don't have a Facebook page, but anybody, I'd be pleased to have any emails from all of you. That would be terrific.
So thank you so very much.
You want my phone number?
If you'd like to share, whatever you'd like
That's
to share.
fine. That's fine. It's 201-723-8255. 3470. And I also go to, I'm sorry, my glasses here. This goes out to Marc and Phyllis. I do attend the meetings on the first Wednesday a month at Hercules' house, and they're really very enlightening and they're a lot of fun. I don't know if New York is a big problem for you to get there. I live very close to Hercules. Like only a couple, I'm walking distance basically, you know.
Oh,
so-
you're lucky.
Yeah, I live very close over here. I live in Cresskill, you know, so but if I'm in town and I can attend, I do attend, and they are very enlightening, and I hope to see you there.
Okay.
I'm
We
going
love
to
to see you
do an
guys.
episode on your ancient alien explorations and cultural explorations, because when she starts talking, she'll take you there to ancient worlds of which ruins only remain, and she's really thought things through. Thank you so very much. If you disappear, we know you disappear.
If I disappear, that's what I'm doing. But my husband's in there right now with him in the room, so.
Give my
He
regards
actually
to
wanted to join us, but we can't leave him alone too long, you know? So. And Hercules does know my father and my husband. He's come to meetings. in the
Give my
past.
regards, please.
Yes, I will.
And does anybody else need to leave in the next 5 minutes? And we'll get your contact information out, then we'll just continue. No, because
I'm able to stay on a bit longer if you'd like to have me.
that would be incredibly awesome, Tillie.
As you wish.
You're a welcome addition to our ongoing conversation.
I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you.
And you're in Florida and Tim is far away.
Yes.
And Michael, if you feel like trekking from South Jersey through New York to North Jersey, you're welcome to come to the meetings as well.
Of course I will. And I'm sure that, you know, like all roads lead to Rome. Well, all trains come from Newark, so I'm sure I can get to you.
There you go. So we'd like to have you here as well.
I would be delighted. That's the one reason I'm in this crazy place. You know, Newark is the most glamorous city in the world.
So I've heard. I've heard otherwise too. But okay. Tim, do you have any other questions to ask anybody else?
Nope, let's let somebody else have a chance at the microphone.
Tillie, you've asked questions. Do you have any other questions you'd like to ask anybody?
I do actually. This question is for yourself and for Tim, if you'd be quite so kind. I'm curious if both of you gentlemen believe that aliens mostly come from other planets, or if you do believe that it is mostly vibrational, or do you believe it could be a mix of the two, or like what do you think the modalities for people getting here on Earth are exactly?
Hercules, Hercules, why don't you take that one first?
Basically, I think there are a lot of different ways to incarnate. The ancient Greeks believed that the gods could have physical sex with mortals, and that mortals would be fertilized. And there's a lot to support this. In Greek folklore, there are creatures called arika, which means aerial creatures. And the aerial creatures are supposed to perform some functions with the lords of the air, and they look very similar to the Greys. So, you know, the gods, the folklore creatures
Say hello, Dad.
interested in our reproductive
You can see us.
systems and our reproductive activities. So I personally believe that
Talking about UFOs.
people can come from
I'm
different
sorry, this is my father.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey,
Hello, how are you?
Good to see you.
Tired.
He's tired.
Oh, okay. You have to
He's
come
not-
join
I
us.
know all about UFOs. What do you know?
Well, next time we have a show, I'll invite you to, and you can tell us all about UFOs.
Yeah, not today.
I'll be back. Thank you.
Did one land?
Thanks again, Lorraine.
Did one
Yeah,
land and
it's
talk
got-
to President Eisenhower?
You gotta sit down so he can see you. There you go. Okay. Go ahead. Ask your question, Dad.
Did Eisenhower talk to one of them, supposedly?
Yes, he did. The Ethereans.
And they said they want to just look around their Earth. And he said, we want something in return.
Well, that's not exactly what happened. They had a couple of ships with them. They gave him a demonstration and gave him a ride at the old Edwards Air Force Base before that. And they showed how they can create the ships to be, let's say, 60 feet diameter, go right down into 10 inches, meaning inside is not changed. It was an illusion that they can create. They look like humans, kind of like people called Nordics, dark hair as well and blonde. And they called themselves the Etherians, but I know who they are. They are of another plane of existence, but they came into physical body form, and they can do that through the ships they come in to meet. What the meeting was about was destroying the planet with their war and bombs and things. That was 1952.
Yeah, I mean, the humans just.
The humans.
Wow.
They were concerned about that. And then Valiant Thor came in 1957, 58. He came
Now,
in.
I heard somebody just the other day say they might be like 1,000,000 years ahead of us. Is that
They
true?
are. Some of them are, not all of them, no. But in
Wow.
thoughts, in our where we are right here, 3D Earth right now, these beings would be probably 500,000, almost 1,000,000 years ahead of us in different ways of technology. But not all of them are. They come in different ways.
We're kind of backwards.
No,
Yeah,
we're a training ground here. This is a learning place.
Classroom, yes.
And it's a petri dish of all different races that came to test it out. So we have all different kinds of races and different belief systems that have been formed through time here. Meanwhile, the small g gods, as people want to call them, were a lot of extraterrestrial beings coming from other places, from all different heights, 50 feet, 25 feet, 100 feet, many people. And you look up mud fossil, that's interesting. Those are those mountains that are shaped like humans with actual forms on them, that they say the Earth, well, it did happen about 3 planets ago, the Earth flipping 3 times back when all the muds covered everything. So out west, you can see what looks like trees that are just plateaus, but when you match them to a tree, it's a giant tree. Even feet in other parts of bodies, like hands, are found around the planet Earth, and you can find them if you look them up for giants in hidden history. Yeah, there's one that's a turtle and one that's a fish. Gigantic, but it's a fish. It's turned to stone.
I need to
The
learn.
ancient mud covering it. It immediately takes them into forming a petrified look.
It was nice talking to you. I got to run.
Nice talking to you too. Be well, take care. Thank you, Mark, for answering that question.
Thank you, Marc. I appreciate
I
it.
see John here. John, do you want to introduce yourself? We're wrapping up now.
Yep, can you hear me? Am I unmuted?
I can hear you.
Yes, John, we can hear you.
Okay. We're talking about aliens. From what I understand, they're from underneath the ocean. There's many different portals in Iceland, Antarctica. There's many stories about that. It's amazing. Most of them are plasma based. The way the crafts, yes, the crafts can change shape at will. It's not like what we think of them as metal or metallic. They can actually, it's a technology that's like, oh my God, it's not even comprehensible, the way they can go into the water. But I know in I think it was 1947 or 50, remember? I think it was 47. The military, the Navy, a lot of the old timers were talking, their job was just to log the crafts. They had a chart, and they would pick the chart and they would make a check mark of what the craft looked like, and they would just keep track of what time they come in and out. And that's what their job was. One guy did it for like 15 years. All his job was to keep track of these in and out of the water. So underneath the ground, underneath the oceans, not as much in space. They go in space, but there's many different types of people. A lot of people look human. Their anatomy is totally different. They don't reproduce. Just like us, the way the sperm count is going down, it seems like they don't want us to reproduce. It just gets very, very involved, and you know, there's a lot more, but that's just the basic part of it.
Well, thank you. Unfortunately, we're wrapping up today, but thank you for introducing all that material. We will be touching upon it in upcoming meetings and upcoming talks. Thank you, John. John is very well versed in, I guess what you would call conspiracy theories. And just so you know, John Tim is the editor of the Conspiracy Journal.
Oh, okay. Yep, and I'm also the worshipful master of the Masonic Lodge, New
I didn't
Jersey.
know if you wanted to share that, but thank you for sharing that. Yes, he's the worshipful master of our local and not so local Masonic Lodge.
So it's yeah, I did it for 2 years, and you know what? I've had it. I don't want to be the top dog anymore. I'm looking for the rocking chair now. It's just you know, it's
So you say, I believe that when I see it.
no, but paperwork, lawyers, accountants, it's not my ritual anymore. So it's I'm looking forward to next year. I can't wait. Oh, that's about it.
Thank you very much. And we're giving out contact information now. If you would like to share your contact information, I'll gladly have it on this episode, or if you prefer not to, that'd be fine too. Okay. Pamela had to leave. Something came up at her home, so she said to say goodnight to everybody, and that it was a pleasure being here with us. Marc and Phyllis, how can people get in contact with your worlds?
Hi, our website, intergalacticmission.com, etuniversalzone.com, where we have all the shows we've been on with Hercules and some interviews. And my art site is marcbrinkerhoff.com, MarcBrinkerhoff.com. You can reach us on any of the email there. It's usually the same. It's marcbrinkerhoff@yahoo.com. And we do, lectures. We give lectures and stuff. And also I give, what do we call it again? Spiritual consultations for oversoul readings and angels and all that. And I hear them talk. I see them. And I'll describe your angels for you and tell you what they're saying. And Nature Kingdom. So that's one of our other websites, fairyreality.com, but it's not up anymore. It's there, but you won't get all the info because we're writing a book on it. I got photos of fairies and everything and stories.
Oh, awesome. I've seen your UFO photographs. I look forward to seeing your fairy photographs as well.
They're right here in the apartment. And they physically come through. They do play here and talk to me all the time. And they sing. Hercules would love that. They sing. They just sing and they say, we're singing to creation and life and the creator.
And that will cover on another episode too. I have a lot of experience with elemental kingdoms and the nature spirits and the folklore entities, and so that'll be fun discussing. It's been a long time since I conversed with somebody about that. So okay, thank you for keeping all these doors to all these other worlds open and available to us. Tim Swartz. This episode is dedicated to Tim Beckley, and I remind myself to say that. But Tim, you are a legend. You've been a legend for a very long time. You will remain a legend with all the things that you do and keeping this culture alive throughout the years. How can people contact you and Zontar Press and the Conspiracy Journal?
Well, sure. Well, Hercules, you can find all of my books on Amazon.com, both as print and ebooks. Really, just go and type in my name, Tim R. Swartz, and they'll all come tumbling out for your reading pleasure. And we all worked previously with the late great Timothy Green Beckley and his Inner Light Global Communications publishing company. Well, I'm attempting to carry on the torch of Mr. Beckley, so that's why we formed Zontar Press, and our most recent book is called Mimics: The Others Among Us, and Hercules has an absolutely excellent chapter in this book, and it's available. It's out right now on Amazon, and I think some of your local favorite bookstores, and if not, you can ask for it. And I always encourage everyone to patronize your local bookstores, because they're suffering tough times, and where I live there aren't any, and I miss being able to just go into the bookstore and discover new and interesting literature. I mean, online books are great, being able to go through them, but there's just nothing like going through the shelves and finding something new and interesting. And my website is conspiracyjournal.com. Unfortunately, it's been shadow banned on Facebook and Instagram. I don't know why. Maybe because it has the word conspiracy in it. Someday probably I should start a new website and try to get away with that. But Conspiracy Journal has been around for so long that it's kind of ingrained, onto society. But as I say, conspiracyjournal.com, where we have all the weird news and information that they don't want you to know. And you can find all of our contact information on that website.
And yes, when I linked you in the past, I was told I was violating community standards.
Yeah, I can't figure that. I cannot figure that out. There's nothing on our site. It's, UFOs, ghosts and hauntings, cryptids. I think it's just the name conspiracy that, freaks them out.
Tim.
Yes, Marc.
Phyllis just mentioned, we know what you're going through. So she was suggesting calling it, because they're looking at it as a political thing, paranormal conspiracy or something like that, using another word. They're not going to think political with it.
Yeah, that's an idea.
Something not just journal, because it says, to them, the spiders that are, going through, no offense, Michael, I know you were a spider, but the spiders that are the political, the computer spiders, they look for things, keywords, things like that. And conspiracy is what's coming up, and journal.
Yeah.
And paranormal would probably flag them, go, there's, and we don't need them guys,
Yep.
It's that's kind of, maybe that kind of way of thinking of it.
Yeah, it's true. Unfortunately, conspiracy has taken on a very nasty political aspect to it, in these days. I mean, when we started Conspiracy Journal, it wasn't like that at all. But that's times can change.
And thank you so very much, Tim, and thank you for being here. I'm greatly honored. And next we go to Tillie. Tillie, do you want to leave some contact information?
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend. My email address for anyone who's interested is talktillietomee@gmail.com. I am working on a website. Hopefully soon I'll have that up. Maybe next time I'll have that available for anyone who would be interested. Outside of that, I am honored to be participating in the writing of a new book with our dear friend Tim here. And soon, Hercules, per your invitation, I look forward very much to joining you as a guest on one of your other shows.
It'll happen very soon. I'm working on the schedule this weekend and early in the week. So I'll let you know within a couple of days when we can do it.
Lovely. But I'm rather new to this realm in terms of speaking out publicly. So I honestly don't have much contact information. Like you friends have websites and everything. I'm rather new, so I'm still kind of gathering everything together, if you will.
Are you on Facebook? Are you on Facebook, Tillie?
No, sir. I have a deadly allergy to social media.
Me too.
But you're most welcome, Marc and Phyllis, I perhaps should say, you're most welcome to email with me. And I think that we could have many fascinating conversations. And I would love to hear more about how you see the world and what your experiences have been. So if you'd be so kind as to bless me with your words and your attention, I'm more than happy to keep in touch.
You got it, kiddo. We'll do that. God bless you.
You too.
Thank you, Tillie. And last but not least, Michael K. Waterman.
Okay. Well, you can get me at Michael K. Waterman on Facebook. You can get me at MK Waterman at iCloud. That's cloud, not clown. iCloud.com. You can also get me at I won't do that one. It's too complicated. But my phone number, 516-650-3691. I am working on a website now for Perniteru for my temple. We are teaching classes coming up soon, as you all know. And I am also working on amazing wands and different other spiritual products. I have put them on Facebook. They've gotten a great deal of demand. I am working on things that bring energy and light into them. I'm using a great deal of things like this crystal, which I think my background is ruining. But this is an interesting crystal. It's got a swirl all the way through it. When I saw it, I'm terrible. I'm like a crow. Anything shiny I had to have. So those are the ways you can reach, of course, through Hercules.
And his wands are beautiful, and they're full of energy. They're absolutely beautiful.
They are.
Thank
They
you.
are. I'm honored that he made one for me and for Athena. And I've seen them on the programs, and I've also seen pictures of them, and I'm really impressed. So,
If anyone is looking for something like that, let me know. I'm trying to also find, I use the ones I have now with found objects. If you want, the most powerful ones would be with copper tubing. So if you want to bring me something like that, I will do. Some of the stones I use are plastic, but it's the crystal energy shine, the light energy that's important, not the particular material. And they do work very well. Lady Rhea, who's a very powerful high priestess, has hers guarding her altar. And she said it growls at people if they get into negative energy.
Michael, one time I was on the streets of good old New York City, of Crazyland here, and I found copper wire in a bundle. I think it's in my basement storage. I'll check it out for you.
there you go.
But you know what you want to do, Mark?
I'm sorry.
Mark, what you might want to do is take about 3 or 4 lengths of 3 feet and braid them, and I'll use that as a base.
Okay.
New York a great deal. I'm here in this glamorous Newark, and I can go anywhere. As I said, all roads lead to Newark.
Thank you to everybody. Is there anybody who'd like to say any last words before we go?
Yeah, Hercules.
Yes.
My wife just got back from the Philippines, and she came home and she gave me this little thing. It says, "What the heck is that?" The little pouch. I don't know what's in it. It's something they make in the Philippines. It's sewed. I don't know if it's got spices in it, herbs in it, or something. It's supposed to be something for protection. I don't know anything about it. I have no clue. I should try smelling it. She has 3 of them. She says to me to keep one on me, one near my bed when I sleep, because I told you the issues I have when it has to do with sleep. I'd like to know if anybody knows anything about it. I hate to ask the person because the person is really, how can I say, a spiritual leader and very well up there, and I just don't to look stupid. I don't know if anybody knows anything about it or.
I don't know about that particularly. You know about that particularly, Michael?
Yes, I can help you. It's something I know from many of my studies. It's very easy for me to help you with that.
Okay, yeah. I was just
So
curious.
you have my information. Call me or email me, and I'll be glad to help you as much as I can.
Okay, yeah, it's something hard in there, but I don't want to open up. I think they soak
No,
them
don't
closed.
open it. Don't open it. It's meant to be. It's a solid energy now because it's all together. Okay, all the herbs and the stones and crystals, they're all working together.
In Greece, they have something similar to that. It's not, I don't know what's in there, but in Greece, they call them phylakta, which means guardians or protectors. And usually you put them in various places in your house, or you could put it on your clothes to protect you. In Greek, the phylakta have an eye on them to avert the evil eye also. And they have inside different herbs. Some people say pieces of the true cross are in there. So, there's all sorts of magic and mojo in those. But I expect something similar to that.
But I
The
forgot
Philippines
have
the Philippines energy comes from, remember, the Spanish conquered the Philippines. That bag is like something from Yoruba. It's called a veve or an oranga bag. All of those are spirit bags. There are herbs. There might even be bones in there. What I will suggest is don't open that, please. It's working together. It's created a spirit.
Should it be in, does it matter if it's in plastic, sealed? I don't know. Or does it have to be exposed with air?
No.
It doesn't matter.
Plastic breathes.
I keep it in the bag, John.
No, plastic breathes.
Because it's from her culture.
It's less messy that way.
Okay, yeah, I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, and it's less messy that way.
Yeah, I was told to keep it in the little pocket that's in the pants. You know, that little pocket? That's where I keep it.
So I hope that you're adequately protected then.
I'm fine.
And let's get together soon.
Okay, good night. I have to take off.
Okay, good night, Lorraine. Great seeing
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate everyone's comments. I'm learning a lot.
I want to thank everybody for having patience. I was trying to blend a couple of different gatherings of people together. So I think we got off to a great start, and I look forward to having you guys on again very soon. Thank you to everybody. Have a wonderful evening and a great night, and I will talk to you all very soon.
Thank you.
Blessings all.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good
Good
night.
night.